KILR Killer Games.
Hello gamers and simmers and pilots, I am the Killer Gamer and welcome back to the World Tour featuring Flight Simulator 2 for the Commodore 64. Where are we? We are in Iowa. We're technically in Iowa, but if you look below my picture here, down there, below the Flight Simulator 2 box, you will see the Scenery Disk package of Scenery Disk number 9. This is the Chicago sectional, so it includes the Chicago, St. Louis, and Cincinnati areas. So that is including where we're at right now, but it's the very edge of it. So where we're at right now is Waterloo, and we're right on the edge of the map, and there isn't any coverage past that because they never made a scenery disc for it, unfortunately. But we'll go into that as we're flying because we'll have some time. But we are going to be flying to Dubuque, Dubuque. But let's go ahead and show you that on the map here. Here we are. This is Waterloo. This is where we're at. And this is where we're going. And I found out what this is. This is the border of Iowa and Illinois. This is the Mississippi. So that blue thing that we saw as we were flying is the Mississippi River. And as I was saying, here's the edge of the map. So there's no scenery off here. They have not made that scenery disc. Alright, so we are going to fly out. I would say we'll tune in Waterloo and fly out at about a vector of 909. That should be, no, actually, Mow. I want to line up with this here. So if we go out about, let's head out at 084. That should take us out about here. And we'll catch, if we catch this radio here, it'll be the back course of 010, which would be 1, oh, that's 1. So what, 004? 1, 2, something like that. When we get to that intersection, it should be close to the Mississippi. We can come down south and land at Dubuque. That is the plan. So let's get our radios set. We'll use Dubuque as our nav 1 so we know how far away we are. So nav 2. Set that to 112. And 084 is what we're going to set our OBS to. Okay, and then Dubuque is at 115.8. Maybe it'll come into play here in a bit. Let's see. And we want 186, I guess. Well, that should set it for our radios. That should get everything set there. As far as where we're going to go, if we take off at runway 6, which is probably what the ATIS is going to tell us. There should be ATIS here, I believe. Yeah, runway 6. You have golf. Go play some golf. Okay, so runway 6. I think this is runway 6 this way. So it looks like we're good. Let's go ahead and start up. Okay, so this here, I believe, is runway 6. So we'll just go straight over and down. Okay, coming up to our turn. Usually how I make these turns is I kind of use my brakes until my speed is almost down to 0. You can see that here. Yep, runway 6. right. I think we are set to go. Let us make sure altimeter has been adjusted and gyro compass. Now the altitude at the arrival airport is going to be just over 1,000, so we need to keep that in mind, that as we get closer we'll need to adjust the altimeter. We have liftoff. Let's go ahead and catch our wave here. Trying to get some steady level flight here. Then we'll start using our rudders here to kind of yaw ourselves over to the correct heading. Have much altitude here. Alright, let's see if we can do better on that. Alright, we have 60, about 70 miles until we get to Dubuque. Ah. So let's take a look at Dubuque Airport and see what it looks like. That's awfully big. Can I... Huh. Try to shrink this down a little bit here. Alright. So here's Dubuque. This is what it really looks like here. Got two runways. I believe this is 3.6 and 1.8. I could actually look it up. Do I have air nav still up here? Air nav. Runways. Where are you? Runways. Runway. Okay, so it's runway 13 and runway 31. And runway 18 and runway 36. Oh, okay, yeah, so we're right. 1836. So that is... I'm like pointing at it to one screen, but you're not seeing which one I'm referring to here. So this right here is the 1836 one, and this is the other one. This is the one that we're going to come down and try to land on 18 this way. Mississippi River should be out here, and it's going to look nothing like this. We'll have the runways. That's probably all that we'll have. Now, X-Plane, on the other hand, should look like this, actually. It should look very close to this, because we're using the orthophotos. Now, out of interest's sake, you may find it interesting that in Dubuque, they filmed Take This Job and Shove It, the movie Take This Job and Shove It, and they filmed some scenes of Field of Dreams there. A blue stick out in the middle of nowhere. I don't know what those blue sticks are. I don't think they're candy. That's what I think. See if we can come down to cruising speed here. I need to get myself some water. Alright, so we were talking about the scenery coverage and how Waterloo is right on the edge of basically Scenery Disk 9, and there's no coverage on the other side of it. So let me show you that. It's sad because they never made that scenery disk, and at least I've never found it. No, actually, my mistake. it is covered. It's north of it that's not covered. Okay, here's the map. So this is Scenery Disk 9, covers Chicago, St. Louis area in here, and Cincinnati. So we are like what, off in this area, but I didn't think, I was thinking that that we didn't have anything here, but we do actually. 1 through 6 are done. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. These are done. This one's not. 10 is done. Not 10 was never made. 8 was never made. And 12, well, that was made like on the PC and on the Amiga, but it wasn't done on the Commodore 64. It could never be found. So that's the bummer thing about it. So it's on the edge of this section 9, but we still at least have coverage. We could keep going this way. We'd have to change scenery disks, I believe, but we would definitely have coverage. Let's take a look at the other give you kind of an idea of whereabouts we're going to be flying to on this scenery. Okay, so here is the Chicago area. Now keep in mind, the original Flight Simulator 2 area covers like this section, like here. Covers Bloomington normal, so it's kind of like this, like that. So here we are on the edge of the Chicago area. So we're flying over here to Dubuque. Next up, we're going to be doing a VFR flight and going up the river to La Crosse. We're going to be heading off to, I think it's Dane, and then Whitman, and then Sheboygan, and we'll be coming down like this, and then we'll be coming across and up here and around. We'll hit Fort Wayne, and then we'll, oh, you can't even see that. Hold on. Oh, okay. It's because of the way I've got the windows set up. There we go. Now you can see it. Okay, so yeah, so we're coming down here, through here, and we'll be coming up over on this side, hitting some of these airports, and then coming down here to Fort Wayne, and then we'll be going off this over here, which will take us, will that take us to the Cincinnati area? I think that'll take us into Scenery Disk 11, actually. Scenery Disk 11 is like over here. Although Scenery Disk 9 continues off over here, and this corner down here, also south, and also over here, so. if I can pull up another map here. So this here is the Cincinnati area chart. See that right here. And this is going to be kind of like Kentucky and Tennessee and some eastern parts of Ohio. Kind of flip through this here. We got some. These are all the list of all the different airports and just like how they're designed. And then here is St. Louis. So this is south of Chicago. So here is Champaign, right? And here's Danville. So we know these two. These are the furthest south from the Flight Simulator 2 scenery disk. And it just continues off down here. And here's Cincinnati, and so the other section continues off over here. But as far as further south, it won't be covered here. This is where, down past this, is where you have to have Scenery Disk 8, which doesn't appear to exist. But everything that's off in this direction here will be Scenery Disk 6, which does exist. Yes, I know, exciting stuff. "47 miles to go." So yeah, we got a lot of airports that we're going to, and we're not hitting every single one of them, but you know, I want to give a fair chance, at least, you know, cover the scenery disk. You know, what we can, you know, at least reasonably. At least travel around it. So we'll be zigzagging around and stuff. Seeing any movement there for a moment. Well, let's see here with our instruments. Seem to be on track. Pick up another section of our flight physics and aircraft control. For those of you who haven't been watching the other episodes, that is our book from the Flight Simulator 2 box. And we are on page 18. Once upon a time, there's something called the stall. The stall. There is a limit to the angle of attack that you can use to generate lift. You can alter the relative wind airflow only so far before the wind refuses to change anymore. Figure 7 shows an airfoil at 3 different angles of attack. We showed this in the last flight. So there's that, and that. The top illustration shows an aerofoil at the same angle of attack used in the previous discussion of lift generation. The middle airfoil shows an increased angle of attack. Notice that the airflow is separating from the surface near the upper trailing edge of the wing. The bottom airfoil is at stall angle of attack. And so what they're referring to is over here, down over in this area, there's some like squiggly lines. So it's like the there, you can see it on that one. That's where the air is not smoothly going over the wings, and so it's not creating lift anymore, it's creating drag. It's a drag, man. So the point of airflow separation is so far forward that we don't even see a downwash vector. Newton's downwash is gone. Velocity in the area aft of the separation point is very low. Bernoulli's suction is gone, and with neither law still in effect, there is no way to maintain lift. Important note: what is a stall? A sudden loss of lift due to airflow separation from the wing. How do you stall an airfoil? Stall is a function of angle of attack. You can stall an aircraft at any airspeed and pitch altitude if you exceed the stall angle of attack. How do you recover from a stall? Simply reduce the angle of attack. Stall angle of attack depends on the airfoil's shape and is usually somewhere between 10 and 20 degrees. Generally speaking, thin airfoils will stall at a lower angle of attack, while thick airfoils will stall at a higher angle of attack. Also, symmetrical airfoils will stall at lower angle of attacks than airfoils with more bulge on the upper surface, a higher camber. Figure 8 shows the lift characteristics of a typical airfoil used on training aircraft. So, here is figure 8. Lift increases steadily until stall angle is reached. After this point, lift drops off suddenly. As you can see, lift is a very important factor in flight. We will return to it often when discussing aircraft control, and we'll even touch on it during the following discussion of drag. Because drag can be such a drag. And that's our lesson for today. Courtesy of SubLogic from the Commodore 64. As I've mentioned in a previous video, I learned so much from this. This was such a cool simulator when it came out, even though it was such a pain. But I read that manual, got to know it and its tricks, and just kind of flew. And of course, when there were the scenery discs and just having the challenge of just flying and being able to get where I wanted to go was just a cool challenge. And right now we just see nothing but green. Green grass. What makes my grass grow green? Blood, drill sergeant, blood. Got a road. Holy moly. So check this out. Brand new, never opened scenery disk for Commodore 64. And this is Scenery Disk 7. So this covers Washington, Charlotte, Jacksonville, and Miami. Here's the back of it. So Scenery Disk 7 is, trying to show you, okay, it's over here along the Florida area, and you can see there's some text written on here on the back. Go ahead and read that to you. It says, SubLogic Scenery Disk expand the potential flying environment of SubLogic flight simulation products. You must have Flight Simulator 2, Microsoft Flight Simulator, or Jet in order to use a scenery disk. So SubLogic Jet was another simulator, and we will use that from time to time. I just haven't quite decided how yet. "12 separate scenery disks cover the entire continental United States." Well, they just didn't make all 12. Additional scenery disks covering other areas of the world are also available. That would be Japan, Hawaii, and Western Europe. Each disk covers a geographical region of a country and includes the major airports, radio nav aids, cities, highways, rivers, and lakes located in that region. Enough detail is available on each disk for either visual or instrument cross-country navigation. STAR, S-T-A-R, scenery disks cover smaller areas with a relatively dense amount of scenery. STAR scenery disks are primarily intended for visual flight sightseeing. These include buildings and landmarks, as well as detailed renditions of all major airports in the area. The one STAR scenery disc that they did release was San Francisco, and I don't believe they released another one. That was the only one. It's possible they never got around to releasing the other scenery discs because Microsoft basically, they bought out. I mean, SubLogic was Bruce Artwick, who was part of that, and Microsoft bought out Bruce Artwick. And so I guess they just incorporated everything in the Microsoft Flight Simulator, and so there wasn't a need to, I guess, finish up the rest of the scenery discs, I guess, or maybe they just weren't making money and that's why they bought them out. I don't know the full story. So there it is. There's the Mississippi River, the border of Iowa and Illinois. I want to take a nap. Like, wake me up when we get there. Tell you, it gets tiring flying and looking at these graphics. And the when I go to play the Amiga version, it looks almost like this. It's just a tad bit better, but it's pretty much almost like this. So it's kind of like I gotta go through it all over again. It's not until I get to Flight Simulator 5.1 where it's kind of like, oh, good. Now I have a little bit more of a feast for my eyes here. Yeah, it slowly makes me appreciate the newer simulators too. But I still have my favorites. I mean, Flight Simulator 98, still one of my favorites. 2004 definitely, and FSX still holds up, I think. I gave it a facelift with Globix, yeah, Globix. And then there's X-Plane, which is definitely your next generation flight simulator. Technology-wise, FSX just isn't going to be able to meet that level, not without completely rebuilding a whole new engine. The technology off of Prepared is based on the same engine that they've been using for Flight Simulator 2000, 2002, 2004, FSX. Don't believe me? Look at the videos that I've been putting out and you'll see the similarity of the graphics. I think our needle on OBS 1 is going to be moving soon. This big area right here looks like this area right here. Because if we're coming out this direction, I think that's what we're seeing. We still have 26 miles though. 25.3 now. Aircraft problem. What did we just lose? Our gyro compass. That's what we lost. So if you remember, several episodes back, we had set this to a 99% aircraft reliability factor. If something major happens to the aircraft, like fuel tanks rupture and all the fuel leaks out or something like that, you know, we'll try to like fix it while we're in the air, That's simple, just by going to the edit menu and coming back out, and it will fix it. We're going to need to change our fuel tank over. We're over on the right. We need to change it over to the left because that's running low. There we go. This thing doesn't get the greatest miles per gallon, I've noticed. Earlier in our tour, I think I brought the reliability down to like 95%, and the vertical indicator, the VSI, had broke, and so that disappeared. And then there was another one where like the engine busted or something, so the oil, it was going all the way to hot, and our speed was going down, was dropping, and we were basically starting to nosedive. It's like, I had changed it back to 100% after that. I'm just like, it's getting a little frustrating. But I went ahead and changed it to 99% and just figured if we have something nasty like that happening in the air, we'll just go to the edit mode and come out, and we'll just say a miracle happened, or we just managed to find some repair things on board to, like duct tape or something. We duct taped it together until we could land. We know what runway that is. Change that to 180. 21 miles. I think that was the Mississippi River. We crossed right over it. But we're not seeing Dubuque. Maybe that was an uncharted river. What just happened? It's green. Why is it green? Well, that can't be good. Time is going. Oh. I was looking straight down. I was looking straight down. That's why that happened. I'm like, whoa, what happened? I was looking through my views. I was doing this. And G just happened to be straight down. So we have no gyro compass, but we have our magnetic compass. Miles away. Now, just to think the next flight might be, might be long. I'm just thinking about the distance between the two. Yep, this is moving. Alright, we need to... start turning south here. Okay, I think I see where we might be. I think Dubuque is over here. It's probably in this area. Matter of fact, it's probably in between this. And I wish the modern simulators would have this random failure thing going on, instead of having to go in there and say, well, in so much time, have this instrument randomly fail. I'd rather have it randomly fail like a random instrument. That way you don't know what's going to fail, or if and when it will. $15 miles from the airport. That up ahead is going to be Dubuque. does this thing where it zigs out like this and then back in. And if you look at this map, you'll see here how it's, if we're flying in this direction, it's zigging out and then it zigs back in. See that? So that airport is like right, probably on the other side, right over there. That would be my theory. It pretty much lines up because our OBS needle is getting close. You know, what's funny is I remember a time now. It's funny how this brings back memories, just bits and pieces. I remember when I was coming in for a landing on an airport, and another thing failed on the airplane. It was like fuel or his engine or something. And as I was coming in for landing, it just sputtered and died and went. I'm like, really? There's our airport. Let's drop a thing of flaps here. We'll start slowing down at 10 miles. The idea is that we go down, not up. So the visual approach from the back of this scenery disc I was talking about, they're talking about how you could follow these major roadways and it would lead you to like another city with another airport. So you could do that if you wanted to. In the case of the next flight, we're going to be flying up to La Crosse, and that's going to be along the Mississippi River. So that one's going to be a VFR flight. We'll tune in one of the nav radios so that way we will get distance, but we're just going to follow the river because the airport's right along the river. So that'll be strictly a VFR flight. Get another thing of flaps down. We are too high. We are way too high. I can see the runway now. Let's see if we can see it here in our map view. Not yet. Anything on our radar yet? No. One thing's for sure, we need to slow down some more. We're 5 miles from the airport. We are way too high. There we go. Just slightly. Comes that challenge, trying to line up again with the runway. It's like we're kind of lined up. I mean, look, it looks like we're lined up. wind up landing here, though. Before the runway, we need to control our rate of descent. See, look at that. We were lined up, and now we're off to the side again. It's just that this thing doesn't do perspective very well. It's like, what happened to the runway? It disappeared! There's our fuel box. Well, we landed on it. Barely. I'm going to call that a successful landing. Oh, here we go. See? We're sort of on it. That's looking down. Let's go get our stuff fixed. Now, I think we did actually land on the... And then, once we landed, we kind of just went off the runway. So I think we did actually land on the runway this time. We're making our own taxiway. But we got fuel, and that got fixed. That's why I like these fuel boxes. Brings back memories of, like, yes, I made it to an airport where I can get my stuff fixed. All right, so here we are. We're in Dubuque, Dubuque Municipal, and we're still on the Iowa side. And we got another flight ahead of us. Got many more flights ahead of us. So I hope you enjoyed this one, and I hope you check out the other versions of this flight on the other simulators. And until next time, be safe out there, and I'll see you in the skies. And if you had fun watching this flight, then you might enjoy watching the same flight on one of these other simulators. It's a great way to compare the difference between them, but it's also a nice way to relive some old memories, or make some new ones. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you around in the wild blue yonder.